Hello and welcome back. I'm Damian with Dicejunkies, and this is the second video in our Average Joe series. And tonight I'm going to show off a little bit of a strange build for me, but it is, let's see, this is tomato sauce, and he is number 2 right now, and he was number 1. This was the number 1 build, but it got knocked out by the Unhallowed Essence multi-shot build. And I'm going to take just a few minutes to go over this build with you, because like I said, it's a little bit weird, and you guys are in for a little bit of a treat because I can't really play this build that great. So it may be some amusing moments. But let's go over the build just real quick. It's Vase of Fire, Cluster Arrow, Rain of Vengeance, Sentry, and then of course Vault and Companion. And there are 2 sets to this build. Natalya is 1, and you're actually using the Ring of Royal Grandeur. So you get 6-piece Natalya, you get 4-piece Marauders. And basically the sentries deal 400% increased damage and cast Elemental Arrow, Chakram, Cluster Arrow. Cluster Arrow is the one we're concentrating on because that's what we cast. And then you get the entire 6-piece bonus, which Rain of Vengeance deals 3,500% increased damage, and you take 60% less damage. So that's the build that we're working with for this particular video of the Average Joe series. Now, as I stated earlier, I'm not really that great with this build. I don't want anybody to have any illusions about this. That's why this is called Average Joe, because I've played around with the build. I pushed with the multi-shot build, so I didn't get a lot of practice with this build. So first, let's go in. We're going to turn down the volume so that the game doesn't overshadow me speaking or people laughing at me from the shadows. Now, I am set up with, of course, the 6-piece Natalyas and the 4-piece Marauders. I'm running the Wraps of Clarity, just like the build. Instead of on the multi-shot, I was running Nemesis because of the speed. But this one, I set it up as close to the original build as I could. It even runs an Enforcer gem. I've got the Zaystone of Vengeance and the Bane of the Trap with Enforcer, and I have the cube set up exactly like they do. Ring of Royal Grandeur, Frostburn, and Manticore. The reason we're using Frostburn is Cluster Arrow is Frost. We're using Polar Station, which is Frost, and Rain of Vengeance we're using Flying Strike, which is Frost. Even our generator is a Frost generator. So everything in the build is for Frost, so that's why we're using the Frostburn. Now, this is a monster build. If somebody is playing this and they get all the right equipment and they learn, because I'm going to tell you, I'll mess up the rotation, and when I mess up the rotation, you'll be able to tell. But if you get this build down, it's just a monster. That's all I can really say. Let's see it in action, though. Now, I cannot push a 70 with this build. I haven't tried, and I'm afraid if I try now, it would be a bit embarrassing for me. Now, I can run a 60 with no problem. Torment 13, I may die a couple of times, but, I mean, it's no problem. So, let's see what we can do with a 65. And this is me with no practice, just, I mean, I've probably ran this build 2 or 3 times. Let's get some sentries out. We're going to hit Rain of Vengeance, and then we're going to start firing cluster arrows at the boss. You'll see I run out of resources a lot in the build, but it's got really good cooldown on it. It cools down pretty quickly, and it hits like a truck. It does. I'm out of resource, so we're gonna evade, get some resource up, get our cooldowns, and just pop them. And you can look at the Rain of Vengeance. It cools down really quickly, and then it just rains destruction. I love the build. I wish that I had concentrated on it more to try to learn it a little bit better. But like I said, I was pushing with the multi-shot build, so I didn't really spend a lot of time with this one. Someone who puts the time in, though, this thing will be just a monster. I can't articulate that enough. Because when everything is going for the build, you're not gonna lose. But you can see that I do run out of my resource. But that's just because I have not ran with this and practiced with this quite enough yet to be as good as you know you could be with almost 700 Paragon. All right, we got another boss back there. I think, yeah, there he is. And I'm dead. All right, so let's get it set up here, and there we go. And Diablo's been having a little bit of lag. That's the jumping you're seeing. It's not me this time. Get my resource back up. And boom, they just blow up. This reminds me a lot of the straight Marauder Sentry build from last season, actually. I played it a good bit. As a matter of fact, on my normal account, on my regular account, non-seasonal account, that's what I was trying to say. On my non-seasonal account, my Demon Hunter is set up for Marauder Sentry. And I love that build. And this one takes some of the best of both the sets and just makes it work. And I mean, like I said, I didn't get a lot of practice on. I'm running a 65, not a 70, but I'm way ahead of the curve at the moment. Unless I screw up big time, we'll be just fine on that on the time. But stuff just explodes. Love it. Absolutely love it. Now, with resource management, some better gear, and you know, practice, this would be phenomenal. Get some more resource up. And this is one that does not use vengeance. I did run one that used vengeance in it, and it was a bit too it was a bit more complicated than I liked. Still worked. it was still a good build, but it took a little bit. It took a little bit more work to get it to function properly.
I'm still waiting. Not enough patience.
And when your follower uses the S of Johann to get everything grouped up, it's just beautiful.
Not ready yet.
And I definitely wanted to preview this one because, like I said, this was a top build. It was number 1. It's number 2 now, so that's not very much lower, you know. And I think number 3 is an actual Marauder Sentry build. I'm not sure. It may not be 3 anymore, but you know, I mean, basically that was the top 3 builds for this season. Unhallowed Essence came up. Oh, I stood in poison. As you can see, when I'm dying, it's my mistakes. It's not the build. It's my mistakes. But what was I saying? Yeah, multi-shot actually came up from the bottom, and ooh, that was a teleport I didn't need somebody to do for me. But multi-shot came up from down lower, and it just because this set was just dominating, and then 2 or 3 days ago, I saw the multi-shot build start coming up on the top, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. Oh, and it's Tethys. Let's get her out of the way quick. She is one of them that I really don't like toying around with. I want to get her done. And, I mean, as you can see, she went down quick. So we're going to pump some more points into the Enforcer gym here. And that's the build. That's the build in a nutshell right there. That's how it works. And like I said, somebody with the good gear, understands the concept of the build, can get it where they can do the rotation without even thinking about it. It's going to be phenomenal. I'm not even kidding. You see how powerful it can be. And again, I wasn't that practiced with it, so that's why we had a few deaths there, and you know. But like I said, it's very enjoyable. I have a lot of fun playing it, and I am going to continue playing it and learn it better. Nothing really good on drops, but that's not unusual. We haven't, neither Zeno nor myself, or even Sunchasers, had any really good drops this season for sure. But I call the build Martha, Marauder, Natasha. I don't know, just whatever. But anyway, that's the build, and hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, leave a comment. I'm sure there's going to be some comments on how I played it. But that's to be expected, and I enjoy constructive criticism, and I enjoy having a conversation about builds. So again, thank you very much for watching. You guys have a great day.